Captain Ryan Holt stood near the edge of the large conference hall, keeping a watchful eye on the guests. The hall was full of diplomats, scientists, and military officers from both Earth and the distant world of Laurethia. The first trade agreement between humans and Laurethians was about to be signed. Everyone knew this moment was historic, and Ryan had been assigned to provide security for the most important guest of all, Princess Kalyra. Kalyra was unlike anyone Ryan had ever seen. Tall, elegant, and with silver markings along her skin, she carried herself with quiet confidence. She smiled politely at every human who approached her. Ryan kept his expression calm, but inside he was impressed. The princess seemed young, but there was something commanding in the way she looked at the world. Everything was peaceful until Ryan's instincts started screaming at him. At first, he couldn't tell what was wrong. Then he saw it, a group of figures moving through the hall's side entrance. They wore plain clothes, but their steps were too sharp, too coordinated. Their hands stayed close to their belts. Ryan's hand went to his sidearm. Before he could warn anyone, the attack began. The intruders drew strange compact weapons and fired into the air. The sound was sharp and loud, and the room erupted into chaos. Guests screamed and ducked for cover. The intruders shouted in a language Ryan didn't understand, pointing their weapons toward the princess. Ryan moved before anyone else. "Princess? With me," he barked, running toward her. Kalyra looked startled but obeyed. Ryan grabbed her wrist and pulled her behind a long table. Shots hissed through the air, leaving glowing scorch marks on the walls. Ryan's training took over. He scanned the room for exits and saw that the main doors were blocked. The attackers were closing in fast. He needed to buy time. "Stay down," he told Kalyra, then flipped the table over, using it as a shield. He dragged it toward the corner of the hall, creating a makeshift barricade. The attackers opened fire again, but their shots hit the table's reinforced metal underside. Ryan peeked out and fired back with his sidearm. One attacker fell, clutching his shoulder. The rest took cover behind decorative pillars. Ryan knew they were trying to flank him. He needed to move. "Princess, can you run?" he asked quickly. "Yes," she said, her voice calm despite the danger. "Then stay close." Ryan spotted the nearest maintenance door and made a plan. He grabbed a smoke canister from his belt, pulled the pin, and threw it into the center of the room. Thick white smoke filled the air, blinding the attackers. "Go!" Ryan shouted. He and Kalyra sprinted through the haze, crouching low. An attacker fired blindly, but the shots missed. Ryan kicked open the maintenance door and guided Kalyra inside. The narrow hallway beyond was empty. "Keep moving," he said, leading her down the hall. They reached a storage room filled with crates. Ryan pushed Kalyra behind them, then crouched near the door, listening. He could hear footsteps approaching. The attackers were searching for them. Ryan quickly grabbed a metal pipe from the floor. When the first attacker burst through the door, Ryan swung hard, knocking the weapon from his hands. A short, brutal fight followed. Ryan struck, blocked, and tackled until the attacker was unconscious. Kalyra watched silently, her silver eyes wide but calm. "You fight with skill," she said quietly. Ryan nodded, catching his breath. "We're not safe yet." He picked up the fallen weapon and handed it to Kalyra. "Can you use this?" "Yes," she replied, gripping it like someone trained since childhood. Together they waited for the next attacker. When he entered, Kalyra stunned him with a quick energy blast and Ryan secured the weapon. The last of the attackers must have heard the noise because they soon retreated. Moments later, reinforcements from Earth's security team stormed in, clearing the area. "Captain Holt," one of them shouted. "The attackers are fleeing." "Secure the princess first," Ryan ordered, keeping his weapon raised until he was certain the hallways were clear. Only when Kalyra was safely escorted back to the main hall did Ryan finally allow himself to relax. The danger had passed, for now. The Laurethian diplomats surrounded Kalyra, speaking rapidly in their musical language. The princess, however, turned to Ryan. "You risked your life for me," she said softly. "You did not hesitate." "It's my job," Ryan replied. But Kalyra smiled slightly, as if she didn't fully believe him. By the end of the day, the news of the attack had spread across both worlds. Videos of Ryan shielding the princess, of him fighting hand-to-hand, had already gone viral. He didn't know it yet, but his life had just changed forever. Captain Ryan Holt thought his work was done. After the attack on Princess Kalyra, He spent the next 2 days writing reports, answering questions, and reviewing security footage with Earth officials. He expected to be reassigned soon, maybe even sent back to his regular duties. But on the morning of the 3rd day, he was told something that changed everything. Captain Holt, his commanding officer, said, "You have been officially summoned to Lorethia. Their queen herself wants to meet you." Ryan blinked. "The queen?" "Yes, you are being flown to orbit within the hour. Get ready." Ryan had no time to argue. Soon he was on a transport ship, heading toward the Lorethian flagship waiting above Earth. The sleek silver vessel glowed faintly against the stars. As he stepped inside, alien guards in ceremonial armor saluted him. They didn't speak, but their glowing eyes followed his every step. Ryan was led to a private chamber with curved walls and soft, humming lights. The air smelled faintly of flowers. Waiting there was Princess Kaelira. "Captain Holt," she said warmly.
"I told my mother about you."
"She wishes to thank you personally." Ryan nodded politely. "I only did my duty, Princess." Kaelira tilted her head, studying him. "Perhaps. But you did more than what duty required. You protected me with your own life. On Lorethia, such a thing is honored." Before Ryan could respond, a deep sound echoed through the room, a voice announcing the Queen's arrival. The doors opened and Queen Althira entered. She was taller than Kaelira, her presence almost overwhelming. She wore a flowing gown of silver and deep blue, and a crown that shimmered with soft light. Her golden eyes locked on Ryan. He immediately stood straighter, giving a respectful salute. "Captain Ryan Holt of Earth," the Queen said, her voice calm but powerful. "You saved my daughter from certain death. For this, you have the gratitude of the Lorethian throne." "Your Majesty," Ryan said carefully, "I was just doing what any soldier would do." The Queen's expression softened slightly. "Perhaps, but your actions were seen across 2 worlds. Your courage is beyond question." Ryan expected this to be the end, a ceremony, maybe a medal. Instead, the Queen's next words surprised him. "You will not return to Earth immediately," she said. "You will stay on Lorethia as protector to Princess Kaelira. You will be trained in our ways and given command authority to keep her safe." Ryan froze. "Your Majesty, with respect, I have duties back home." The Queen's golden gaze turned sharp. "Your first duty now is here. Until the danger to my daughter is ended, I will not risk her life." "You are the only one I trust." Ryan glanced at Kaelira. She looked at him with quiet hope, as if she wanted him to accept. "This is not a request, Captain," the Queen added. Ryan knew then that his choice had been made for him. "I understand. Your Majesty," he said finally. The Queen nodded once, satisfied. "Good. You will be shown your new quarters." Ryan was led through the ship's halls, which glowed softly with blue light. The corridors curved like living things, and the air was warm and clean. His quarters were larger than he expected, with a window looking out into space. Later, Kaelira came to visit him. She wore a simple tunic instead of her ceremonial dress, and she seemed more relaxed. "I know this is not what you wanted," she said quietly. Ryan shook his head. "It's not what I expected, but I gave my word to protect you." "That hasn't changed," Kaelira smiled. "Then I am glad. There are still threats out there. Someone sent those attackers, and they will not stop easily." Ryan's jaw tightened. "Then we'll be ready for them." For the next several days, Ryan was introduced to life aboard the Lorethian flagship. He was given ceremonial armor, light but strong, and trained to use Lorethian weapons. Alien warriors tested him, at first mocking his human strength. But Ryan adapted quickly. His quick thinking and unique combat style soon impressed even the most skeptical soldiers. By the end of the week, he had begun to earn their respect on night. As he stood by the viewing window watching the stars, Ryan realized that Earth suddenly felt very far away. He didn't know how long he would be kept here, weeks, months, maybe longer. But one thing was clear. This was no longer just a job. This was a duty that might change the future of 2 civilizations, and Ryan was right in the middle of it. Captain Ryan Holt woke early on his first full day aboard the Lorethian homeworld. The royal palace was unlike anything he had ever seen. Tall crystal spires reached into the sky, Glogar. Wing faintly as the planet's twin suns rose. The air was fresh, almost sweet, and the halls of the palace seemed alive with music and light. But there was no time to enjoy the view. Ryan was summoned to the training courtyard, where a group of Larethian warriors waited. They were tall, armored, and armed with long curved blades that shimmered faintly. The captain of the guard, a broad-shouldered warrior named Tareth, stepped forward. "Human," Tareth said in a deep voice. "If you are to protect the princess, you must prove yourself to us." "You will train as we do," Ryan nodded. "I'm ready." The training began immediately. Ryan was handed a practice spear, lighter than a human weapon but surprisingly well-balanced. The first drill was simple footwork, but the alien technique was strange, full of spinning movements and low stances. Ryan stumbled at first, earning a few smirks from the warriors. But Ryan was stubborn. He watched, adapted, and learned quickly. By the end of the session, he was moving more smoothly, even surprising Tareth with a quick counterattack. "You learn fast," Tareth admitted, though he still looked unconvinced. "Tomorrow we will see if you can fight as well as you run." That night, Ryan ate with Kalira in the royal dining hall. The room was filled with glowing plants and soft music. "You look tired," Kalira said, noticing the sweat still on his brow. "Your guards don't go easy on me," Ryan replied with a small grin. "But that's good. If I'm going to protect you, I need to be ready for anything." Kalira nodded, her expression thoughtful. "You are different from them," she said softly. "You think in ways they do not." "That might be why my mother chose you." Ryan frowned slightly. "Different how?" "You plan as you fight," Kalira explained. "You do not rely only on strength. You use the world around you. That is rare here." Ryan thought about that later as he prepared for bed. She was right. During the attack on Earth, he had used tables, smoke, and hallways to outthink the enemy. Maybe that was why the Queen trusted him. The next day, training became more intense. Ryan sparred against 2 warriors at once. He was knocked down several times, but each time he got back up. By the end of the week, he could hold his ground even against Tareth himself. Slowly, the guards' attitudes began to change. They no longer looked at Ryan as an outsider. Some even nodded to him with respect when he passed. But even as Ryan settled into his new life, danger was never far away. One afternoon, as he walked with Kalira through the palace gardens, Ryan noticed something strange. A palace servant passed them carrying a tray but did not bow as was custom. More importantly, his eyes darted to Kalira with a look Ryan didn't like. Ryan's instincts went on alert. "Kalira," he said quietly, "go back inside." She hesitated. "What is wrong?" "Just do it," Ryan said firmly. As soon as Kalira left, Ryan followed the servant at a distance. The man slipped into a side hall and opened a hidden panel in the wall. Ryan crept closer, hearing low whispers in a language he didn't recognize. Then the servant pulled out a small device and pressed it. Ryan recognized it as a communicator. "Security breach," Ryan muttered and charged forward. The servant spun around, shocked, but Ryan was faster. He grabbed the communicator, slammed the panel shut, and pinned the man to the wall. "Who are you working for?" Ryan demanded. The man didn't answer, but his frightened eyes said enough. Guards arrived moments later and took him away for questioning. When Ryan returned to Kalira, she looked worried. "Was he a spy?" Ryan nodded grimly. "I think so. Which means someone is still trying to get close to you." That night, Queen Althira summoned Ryan to her private chamber. The Queen's expression was serious. "You did well to notice the infiltrator," she said. "This confirms what I feared. The attack on Earth was not the end. There are forces moving against my daughter. You must be ready, Captain Holt." Ryan nodded. "I'll be ready, Your Majesty." But inside, he felt the weight of his new duty more than ever. This was no simple assignment anymore. This was a war in the shadows, and he was the first and last line of defense. As he stood by the window later, looking out at the glowing city of Larethia, Ryan made himself a promise. Whoever was behind these attacks, he would find them, and he would make sure they never got near Kalira again. The day of the Larethian Grand Festival arrived with a bright, glowing sky. Streets of the palace city were filled with Larethians in colorful garments. Music echoed through the towers, and floating lanterns drifted above the crowds. This festival celebrated the unity of planets and the strength of the Larethian Empire. Captain Ryan Holt walked beside Princess Kalira, keeping his senses sharp. The princess smiled and waved to the crowd, unaware of the danger he felt pressing against his mind. He had learned that threats often came when least expected. As they approached the main stage for the opening ceremony, Ryan noticed subtle signs. A servant moved too slowly, almost slipping between guards. Some palace guards shifted their weight nervously, glancing around. Ryan's eyes narrowed. Something was wrong. "Kaelira, stay close to me," he said quietly. "Why?" she asked, frowning. "Just trust me," Ryan replied, scanning the crowd. Moments later, it began. Explosions erupted at the edge of the square, sending smoke and sparks into the air. The crowd panicked, running in all directions. Lorethian guards rushed forward, but Ryan already had Kaelira's hand in his, pulling her toward a nearby alley. "Keep low," he shouted. They dove behind a decorative fountain, the water glowing faintly in the festival lights. The attackers were armed with strange energy rifles that shot blue bolts. Ryan ducked and returned fire with his own weapon, picking off 2 attackers as they tried to advance. Kaelira, although frightened, stayed calm. She used her training, deflecting attacks with a small energy shield Ryan had given her. Together they moved through the chaos, weaving between columns and market stalls. 2 more coming from the right, Ryan warned, noticing shadows moving across the lantern-lit streets. Kaelira aimed and fired a precise shot, hitting one attacker squarely. Ryan tackled the other, disarming him in a quick move that combined human strength and Lorethian technique. But the danger was far from over. Ryan spotted a group of attackers trying to climb the palace walls, clearly aiming to reach Kaelira. He needed a plan fast. "Look at the fountain," he whispered to Kaelira. "Help me." Together they pushed the heavy fountain over, causing it to crash toward the palace entrance. The glowing water sprayed everywhere, creating a barrier and slowing the attackers' advance. Sparks from the fountain reflected in the energy bolts, giving Ryan and Kaelira cover. The palace guards finally arrived, surrounding the remaining attackers and taking them down. Ryan stood, breathing heavily as Kaelira looked at him with wide eyes. You saved everyone," she said softly. Ryan shook his head. "We saved ourselves, Princess. And we need to be ready. This attack was too coordinated to be random." Later, in the palace courtyard, Queen Althira met them. Her expression was both proud and serious. "Captain Holt," she said, her golden eyes examining him closely, "you acted with courage and intelligence. Your quick thinking saved my daughter and countless citizens. You have proven yourself beyond any doubt." Ryan bowed. "Thank you, Your Majesty. But I only did what was necessary." The Queen's lips curved into a small smile. "Perhaps in humanity, modesty is a virtue. Here, your actions are more than virtue. They are life itself." Kaelira stepped forward. "Mother, I want him to stay. He understands the danger better than anyone." "I trust him." Ryan felt a mix of pride and unease. He had grown attached to the princess, but he had responsibilities back on Earth. Yet he also knew that the attacks were far from over. Whoever orchestrated this would not stop until they succeeded. The Queen placed a hand gently on Ryan's shoulder. "For now, you will remain. You will continue your training, but also help us uncover who is behind these attacks. Your perspective as a human is invaluable." Ryan nodded. "I'll do my best, Your Majesty." That evening, Ryan and Kaelira walked through the palace gardens once more, the floating lanterns casting warm light over the paths. The events of the day weighed heavily on them both. "You were amazing today," Kaelira said. "You kept calm too," Ryan replied. "If either of us panicked, things could have gone very badly." Kaelira looked at him, her silver eyes reflecting the lanterns. "I feel safer with you here." "I hope you realize that," Ryan smiled faintly. "I know, and I will do everything I can to keep you safe." As the night deepened, Ryan realized one thing clearly. This was no longer just about duty or honor. Protecting Kaelira had become personal, and if the next attack came, he would be ready to face it no matter the danger. The palace was quiet after the attack, but Captain Ryan Holt could feel the tension in the air. Extra guards patrolled the corridors, and every servant was being questioned. Ryan spent hours reviewing security recordings and talking with Tareth, the captain of the guard. But it was Kaelira who finally brought him news. "My mother wants to see you," she said as she entered his quarters. She wore simple clothes, her expression calm but serious. "She has made her decision." Ryan stood. "Then I should go." The royal throne room was lit with soft golden light when Ryan entered. Queen Althira sat upon her high throne, her presence as commanding as ever. Several council members stood nearby, but all attention was on Ryan. "Captain Holt," the Queen said, her voice deep and steady, "you have been tested more than once since you came to Lorethia." Each time you have stood your ground and defended my daughter, not as a soldier of Earth, but as a true guardian of our people." Ryan bowed his head respectfully. "Thank you, Your Majesty. I only did what was necessary." The Queen's golden eyes softened. "And that is why I have called you here. I must decide your future, whether you will return to Earth or remain among us." Ryan felt the weight of the moment. His heart beat faster. This was the decision he had been expecting, but now that it was here, he wasn't sure what he wanted. "You have a choice," the Queen continued. "You may return home as a hero, honored by my people for your bravery. Or you may stay and serve as royal protector, a position of great trust and authority. If you accept, you will command Kalira's security and stand by her side as long as she lives." Ryan glanced at Kalira, who stood just to the Queen's right. Her eyes met his, full of quiet hope. "Before I answer," Ryan said carefully, "I must ask, do we know who is behind the attacks?" The Queen's expression grew grave. "We know enough. The attackers were hired by those who fear the alliance between our worlds. They believe unity will make us too strong. We will defeat them, but it will take time. That is why Kalira still needs you." Ryan took a deep breath. Earth was his home. His friends, his career, everything he had known was there. But here on Lorethia, he had found something else. A purpose that felt larger than himself. Kalira stepped forward. "You have given me more than protection," she said softly. "You have given me courage. I would be honored if you stayed." Ryan looked at her, then at the Queen, and finally nodded. "I will stay," he said. "I will serve as royal protector for as long as I am needed." The Queen rose from her throne, a rare gesture of respect. "Then it is decided. Kneel, Captain Holt." Ryan knelt, and the Queen placed her hand on his shoulder. "From this moment, you are protector of the princess, defender of the royal line. You answer only to me and to your duty." Ryan stood, feeling the weight of the moment settle over him. This was more than a job. It was an oath. The council members bowed to him, and even Tareth gave him a respectful nod. Ryan knew he had truly earned his place here. That evening, a ceremony was held in the grand courtyard. Lanterns lit the sky, and music filled the air. Citizens gathered to witness the announcement. Queen Althira stood before them, her voice carrying across the square. "This is Ryan Holt of Earth," she declared. "He risked his life not once but many times to protect my daughter. He has chosen to remain with us. From this day forward, he is guardian of the princess." The crowd cheered, their voices rising like thunder. Kalira smiled at Ryan, pride clear on her face. When the ceremony ended, Ryan stood beside Kalira, looking out over the glowing city. "Feels strange," he admitted. "I came here to protect you for a few days. Now I'm part of your world." Kalira's silver eyes shone softly in the lantern light. "You are more than part of it, Ryan. You are its shield. And you will never stand alone." Ryan smiled faintly. For the first time, he felt fully at peace with his choice. The stars above no longer seemed so distant. Whatever challenges lay ahead, he was ready to face them. Not just as a human soldier, but as the sworn protector of a future that connected two worlds.